Have you ever wondered why awakening something so beautiful can hurt so much? Tell me in the comments what part of your awakening has been the hardest to face. Imagine, for a moment, that you've been living inside a lantern all your life. The glass is painted with lovely scenes. The people you love, the stories you tell yourself about who you are, the tidy meanings you've hung on the walls like family portraits. One day the wick catches a new kind of fire, and the light inside grows so bright that the paint begins to flake. At first you're dazzled, colors you never knew existed shimmer across the ceiling. Then the glass cracks. The portraits curl at the edges and fall away in ash. You reach for the familiar faces, but they dissolve between your fingers. The lantern is still glowing, brighter than ever. Yet suddenly you're standing in the dark, holding nothing but smoke. That, dear friend, is the first taste of awakening. The moment clarity arrives and grief slips in behind it, wearing the same face. We speak of enlightenment as though it were a sunrise, gentle, golden, inevitable. Yet, the sun does not ask permission before it burns away the mist. When the fog of old beliefs lifts, the landscape you trusted turns out to be a mirage. The friend who swore, "I'll always be here," suddenly speaks a language you no longer understand. The career you built like a sturdy house reveals termite tunnels of doubt. Even your own reflection tilts its head and says, "Who ordered this version?" The mind, poor, bewildered thing, keeps trying to paste the ashes back onto the glass. It wants the comfort of the painted lantern, the cozy lie that everything was under control. But the light has no patience for nostalgia. It keeps shining, merciless and kind. There's a snake in the old stories that sheds its skin not because it's cruel, but because it must. The process looks violent. The creature rubs against rocks until the old casing splits, eyes clouded, body tender and new. For a while, it cannot see, cannot strike, cannot even recognize itself in the water. If you met that snake mid-shed, you might pity it, half-armored, half-naked, writhing in the dust. You would not guess that every scrape is a step toward gliding more freely through the grass. Awakening is that scrape. The beliefs that once protected you now feel like scales too tight across the lungs. You twist, you bleed a little, you wonder why growth has to be so undignified. The humor, gentle as it is, grim, lies in realizing that the snake never asked to be a monument. It only wanted to keep breathing. And then there are the friends. Oh, the friends. They love the lantern version of you, the one who laughed at the right jokes, nodded at the right sermons, kept the painted scenes in their proper frames. When the light cracks the glass, they squint and step back. Put it out, they say, meaning the fire, meaning you. You're different now. You make us uncomfortable. Some leave quietly, slipping out the back door of shared history. Others linger, arguing with the smoke, trying to convince both of you that the ashes can still be a portrait if you just blow on them hard enough. The loneliness that follows is not the dramatic kind with thunder and empty halls. It's quieter, like the hush after a bell has stopped ringing. You sit in the circle where laughter used to live and hear only the echo of your own heartbeat asking, was any of it real? Meaning, too, packs its bags. You used to know exactly why you woke up, why you worked, why you smiled at strangers. Purpose was a warm coat you slipped into each morning. Now the coat is in tatters, and the wind goes straight through you. The big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? Used to feel noble, like climbing a mountain. From the summit, though, the view is vertiginous. The old answers lie in heaps at your feet, and the new ones haven't arrived. You dangle between stories, a tightrope walker who has just noticed there's no net. The temptation is to scramble backward, to grab any scrap of former certainty and clutch it to your chest. But the light keeps burning, and every step back singes your heels. Forward then is the only direction that doesn't hurt worse. This is the part no one warned you about in the meditation apps or the glowing testimonials. The grief is real. It has weight, texture, temperature. It pulls in the throat at 3 a.m. when you remember how easily you once believed. It stings behind the eyes when a song plays that belongs to the life now dissolving. You are not failing at awakening. You are paying its cover charge. Every illusion you lose is a coin dropped into the toll basket on the road to seeing. The pain is not punishment, it is purification. The way fire refines gold by burning away everything that isn't. The lantern had to break so the light could escape the glass and become the sky. Picture the moment after a coastal storm. The waves have torn the pier to splinters, the gulls are screaming, the air smells of salt and ruin. Then the clouds part, and the water goes suddenly still, reflecting a blue so deep it hurts to look at. That hush, that aching, impossible clarity is what waits on the other side of the unraveling. But you cannot skip to the mirror-calm sea. You must stand on the broken boards, barefoot among the nails, and let the salt sting the cuts. The storm is not your enemy. It is the price of the silence that follows. So when the old identity flakes away like guilt from a cheap icon, do not curse the flaking. When the friends drift off like smoke through an open window, do not chase the smoke. When meaning evaporates and leaves you parched, resist the urge to drink from the mirage. Sit in the rubble of the lantern and notice how brightly the fire still burns. Feel the raw skin beneath the shed scales. Listen to the hush that arrives when every familiar bell has stopped ringing. This is not the end of you. It is the first moment you are large enough to hold the light without a frame. Sometimes the pain is not the end of awakening. It's the sign that it has finally begun. You stand on the pier's broken planks, wind slicing through the tatters of your coat, and the sea mirror calm now reflects nothing you recognize. The storm took the old world. The silence refuses to give you a new one. Between the wreckage behind and the horizon ahead stretches the void. Not darkness, not light, just an enormous, humming absence. It is the pause after the outbreath when the in-breath forgets its cue. Most teachings leap across this gap with a cheerful, just be, as if being were a switch you flip. But the void is not a waiting room. It is the room, and you are the furniture, suddenly unsure why you have corners. At first, you bargain. You pick through the splinters for a familiar nail, a shard of painted glass, anything to rebuild the lantern. The mind, that loyal contractor, sketches blueprints. If I meditate harder, manifest faster, quote the right sutra, the floorboards will reappear. Yet every hammer blow echoes into emptiness. The void swallows sound, swallows effort, swallows hope. You sit, you breathe. You discover that breathing can feel like drowning when there's no story to tell about the air. Loneliness deepens here, but it wears a subtler mask. It is not the ache of missing people, though you do it as the stranger ache of missing narration. Without beliefs, without roles, without even the drama of suffering to define you, who is the I that hurts? The question used to be poetic, now it is practical. You reach for the old pronouns, student, parent, seeker, and they slip like wet stones. The void hands you a mirror with no silvering. You see the wall behind your head. Terrifying, liberating, both. Time behaves strangely. Minutes stretch like taffy. Hours collapse into a blink. You eat breakfast on Tuesday and look up to find it's Friday and the toast is still in your hand. The calendar, that trusty grid, dissolves into one long now. Past and future become polite fictions you tell yourself to fall asleep. Sleep, by the way, arrives in fits, dreams of searching for a house you swear you once owned, waking to the same blank room. The body keeps its rhythms, but the mind floats untethered, a balloon whose string has been cut by clarity itself. People still speak to you, their words bright coins dropped into a well with no bottom. You nod, you smile, you even answer, but the conversation happens on the other side of glass. They ask, "How are you?" And the honest reply, "I am the space where a person used to be," would stop the music. So you say, "Fine," and the lie tastes like ash, yet also like mercy. The void teaches compassion through distance. You see how everyone clutches their lanterns, terrified of the wind. Occasionally, a flare of the old fire sparks anger, nostalgia, a sudden urge to phone someone who no longer knows your number. You watch the flare rise and die, a match in a cathedral. Emotions pass through the void like clouds through sky, undeniable, ownerless. You learn the difference between feeling and identity. Pain visits, bows, leaves its calling card. You do not have to move in with it. There is a rumor that saints float here in bliss. Perhaps. Most of us bob like corks, half drunk on emptiness, whispering, "Is this it?" The humor is gentle and terrible. The cosmic joke is that the void is already full of you, of bird call, of the smell of coffee you haven't made yet. Only the story of emptiness keeps it empty. Peel away the story, and the room is crowded with presents. But peeling is slow, and stories regrow like fingernails. Do not rush the crossing. The void is not a tunnel. It is the digging of the tunnel through your own chest. Every grain of dirt removed is a certainty you no longer need. The walls gleam with wet clay, your raw, unstoried self. Touch them. They are cool, alive, trembling. This is the moment the snake, blind and new, feels the first breeze on skin that has never seen sun. This is the moment after the lantern burns, when the night sky remembers it was always there. One day, the absence begins to hum a note you almost recognize. Not a word, not a promise, just a tone, like a bell struck underwater. It is the first whisper of part 3. Until then, stay. Sit in the unbuilt room. Let the furniture dissolve. The void is not punishment. It is the womb where the new world learns your shape without asking your permission. The pain of the unraveling carved the space. The void is the space learning it is not empty. The note you heard underwater has surfaced. It is no longer a rumor. It is the sound of your own pulse remembering it belongs to the ocean. The void, once a cavern of absence, begins to glow from within, not with borrowed lantern light, but with the soft bioluminescence of wounds that have stopped pretending. Healing does not arrive on a white horse. It seeps through the cracks you cursed, carrying salt and honey in the same cupped hands. You thought transformation meant becoming someone else. Instead, it means becoming the space where the someone else used to stand, and discovering the floorboards were never the point. Pain returns, but now it knocks instead of kicking down the door. You open cautiously and find it wearing your own face, older, kinder. I'm not here to torment, it says. I'm here to translate. Every ache is a syllable in the language you forgot you spoke before words. The grief for lost friends becomes a lullaby you sing to the child who once believed friendship required identical lanterns. The sting of the crack career becomes a weather report. Storm past, soil aerated, plant something. Even the terror of the blank mirror softens into curiosity. You tilt the glass, catch the light, and see finally that the reflection was always the wall, the room, the sky, and you, the temporary arrangement of all three. This is the paradox the sages smirk about. Healing hurts. The snake's new skin itches where the old one tore. The pier's splinters, embedded for months, must be coaxed out one by one with tweezers made of forgiveness. You wince, you laugh at the absurdity, forgiving the storm for doing what storms do, forgiving yourself for building on sand. Laughter bubbles up unbidden, a spring through limestone. It is not denial, it is digestion. The body, that wise animal, converts yesterday's poison into tomorrow's muscle. You feel it in the shoulders that no longer brace for the next blow, in the jaw that unclenches during dreams. People return, or new ones appear, drawn by the odd glow leaking from your ribs. They bring their lanterns, still painted, still proud. You do not snuff them out. You simply stand in your open doorway, light spilling both ways. Some squint and leave, others set their lanterns down and ask, "How did you survive the wind?" You tell them the truth. I stopped calling it wind and started calling it breath. Conversation becomes a shared exhale. The glass between you thins to mist, then vanishes. You discover that compassion is not a virtue you cultivate. It is the natural temperature of a heart that has burned off its insulation. Meaning does not descend in a thunderclap. It grows like moss, quiet, persistent, indifferent to applause. One morning you notice you made coffee without asking why. The steam curls into the shape of a question mark that does not need an answer. You drink. It is enough. Purpose reveals itself as the art of continuous yes. Yes to the cracked cup. Yes to the burnt toast. Yes to the stranger's dog that licks your hand as if you invented joy. The big cosmic drama shrinks to the size of a ladybug crossing the windowsill. You escort it outside with a reverence once reserved for gurus. The body leads the way, as it always has. You stretch and hear the soft pop of a story leaving a joint. You walk and feel the earth push back exactly enough to keep you upright. You sleep and wake without inventory. Dreams stop being search parties and become travel brochures for countries that exist only when your eyes are closed. You visit, you return, you bring nothing back but the relaxed certainty that borders were drawn in pencil. There is a moment small, easily missed when you catch yourself humming while washing dishes. The tune has no name, no goal. It is the sound of the void discovering it was a womb all along. The hum vibrates in the exact frequency of the underwater note. You realize the pain was never the enemy, it was the midwife. Every tear widened the canal. Every doubt cleared the throat for this effortless song. You do not graduate from suffering. You metabolize it into melody. Old wounds scar over with a sheen like abalone. You run your finger across them and feel stories, not shame. They catch the light and throw rainbows on the wall, temporary, gorgeous, ownerless. You no longer need to explain them to anyone, least of all yourself. The snake, now sleek and sun-warm, coils in the grass and sleeps with one eye open, not from fear, but from wonder. The pier has been rebuilt by tides and children. You walk it barefoot, splinters long since dissolved into sand. Healing is not the absence of pain, it is the presence of play. You juggle the remnants of every broken lantern and discover they weigh nothing. You toss them skyward, they become stars. The night, once a threat, is now a planetarium of your own making. You lie back on the new boards, smell tar and salt, and grin at the absurdity. All this time, the light was trying to escape the glass to find the dark it could fill. The pain of the unraveling carved the space. The void held it open. The healing is the space learning it was always home. The stars you juggled settle into ordinary eyes. You wake, brew coffee, greet the dog, nothing special, everything sacred. Old friends phone. You answer without translating. The lantern glass, once ash, now glints in the path like sea glass, stepping stones, not idols. You walk the pier at dusk. Children fish off the end, shouting when something tugs the line. Their joy is yours, unearned, contagious. Work is play in grown-up clothes. Mistakes arrive. You bow, repair, laugh at the echo of perfectionism. Pain visits rarely, a polite guest who leaves a note, still here, still useful. You nod, file it under weather. Meaning is the hum under every sentence you speak, every silence you share. You no longer seek awakening. You live it quietly, messily, fully human. The snake suns itself on the warm boards. The void hums lullabies. The healed scars shimmer. All of it fits inside one breath. The pain carved the flute. The void tuned it. The healing played the first note. Integration is the song that never ends.